Rain poured heavily that night as Derek shouted at Maya. His voice echoed through the quiet street while thunder rolled above them. He was angry, too angry. He grabbed Maya's arm and pulled her out of the house, not caring that she was 7 months pregnant. "Derek, please," she cried, trying to steady herself on the wet ground. "You're hurting me." He didn't listen. His eyes were full of rage and pain. "Don't act innocent, Maya. You think I don't know? You've been lying to me." Maya's heart pounded. "Lying about what?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. But Derek had already made up his mind. The neighbors stood by their windows, watching in silence. No one dared to step in. Maya's long dress was soaked, sticking to her skin. The rain mixed with her tears until she couldn't tell the difference between the two. Derek stormed back inside, came out again with a small suitcase, and threw it at her feet. The bag hit the ground with a dull thud. "That baby isn't mine, Maya," he shouted. "I'm done pretending." The words sliced through her like a knife. For a moment, everything went quiet. Even the rain seemed to pause. Maya stood there, her hands resting on her swollen belly, staring at him in disbelief. "Derek, how can you say that?" she whispered. "You know me. You know our love." He didn't answer. He just turned away, slammed the door, and locked it. The sound echoed through the street. Maya stood alone under the rain, shaking. Her legs felt weak. The house she once called home now felt like a stranger's place. Her heart was breaking piece by piece. She looked at the windows. No one came out to help. She slowly bent down, picked up her bag, and held her stomach protectively. The rain ran down her face, washing away her makeup but not her pain. She whispered to herself, voice barely audible over the storm. "You'll see the truth one day, Derek. You'll see." Then she turned and walked away into the dark, her figure small and trembling under the streetlights, carrying both her pain and her unborn child into the unknown night. Maya met Derek 3 years ago at a business seminar in Lagos. She was a young marketing executive, full of dreams and confidence. Derek worked in finance, and the moment they started talking, Maya was drawn to his charm. He was confident, funny, and seemed so protective. When he offered to drop her home that evening because it was late, she felt safe with him. At first, their love felt perfect. Derek would call her every morning to check if she'd eaten. He sent flowers to her office and picked her up after work. Maya's friends teased her, saying she had found the perfect man. And in many ways she believed them. But slowly things began to change. Derek started asking questions that didn't sound like care anymore. "Who were you talking to on the phone? Why did your friend text you so late? That dress is too short, Maya. I don't want other men staring at you." At first she laughed it off. She told herself it was love, that Derek just wanted to protect her. But soon he started controlling more parts of her life. He told her to stop spending time with her colleagues after work. He said her best friend Lillian was a bad influence. One day, he even asked her to let him manage her bank account so he could help her save better. Her mother, Ava, noticed the changes in her daughter. Maya stopped visiting as often. She looked tired and quieter than before. One afternoon, Ava sat her down and said softly, "Love shouldn't make you smaller, my child. It should make you grow." Maya forced a smile and replied, "Mom, you don't understand. He just worries about me. It's his way of caring." But inside, a small voice whispered that her mother might be right. When Maya got pregnant, she thought everything would finally change. Derek seemed happy for a while. He held her hand during the first doctor's visit, promised to be a good father, and even started preparing the nursery. Maya believed this was their fresh start. But as her belly grew, Derek's warmth faded. He became distant, often coming home late without explanation. When she asked, he snapped, "I'm working hard to feed this family. Stop nagging me." Nights became cold and silent. Maya would lie awake, feeling the baby move inside her, and wondering if love was supposed to hurt this much. She missed her old self, the smiling, confident woman who once believed in forever. Then came Jordan, Derek's younger brother. He was calm, thoughtful, and kind, the complete opposite of Derek's fiery temper. Jordan often visited to check on her when Derek was away. He noticed how tired she looked, how she smiled, but her eyes were always sad. One evening, as Maya prepared dinner, Jordan quietly said, "You deserve peace, Maya." She froze for a moment. His words were simple, but they hit deep. She wanted to ask what he meant, but she stayed silent. She didn't want to seem ungrateful or disloyal. After all, Jordan was Derek's brother. Still, Jordan continued to help in small ways. He fixed the leaky tap in the kitchen, carried groceries for her, and sometimes brought her vitamins when Derek forgot. He never said much, but his kindness spoke louder than words. Maya felt a quiet comfort around him. Not romantic, but safe. He saw the things she tried to hide. As the months passed, Derek's anger grew worse. He shouted more often, accusing her of things she didn't understand. She tried to remind herself of the man she first fell in love with, the one who smiled easily and held her hand. But that man felt like a memory now. Maya's heart was torn between love and fear. She didn't want to give up on her family. She believed that if she just loved him enough, if she stayed patient, he would change. But deep inside, she felt like she was drowning. Every day, she told herself she was staying for the baby. Every night, she prayed for peace. She didn't know that her life was about to fall apart, and that the people she trusted most would soon reveal who they truly were. One evening, Maya was in the living room, folding baby clothes while Derek scrolled through her phone. She didn't notice at first. She was tired and thought he was just checking the time. But then she heard his sharp voice. "What is this, Maya?" She turned quickly. Derek's face was hard and cold. He held the phone up, showing her a message. It was from Jordan. "How are you holding up?" the message read. Maya froze. "It's nothing, Derek. He just checked on me. You know I haven't been feeling well lately." Derek's eyes darkened. "Don't lie to me, Maya." "My own brother? You've been sneaking around with him, haven't you?" Her heart dropped. "What? No. Derek, that's not true. Jordan is your brother. He's just been helping because you're never home anymore." But Derek wasn't listening. His voice rose as he shouted, "You think I'm stupid? You think I can't see what's going on? The way he looks at you? The way you talk to him?" Maya's hands shook. "Please stop. You're making something out of nothing." He slammed the phone on the table. "Nothing? You're carrying another man's child, aren't you? That's why you're so scared." Maya stepped back, her breath catching. "Derek, stop saying that. This baby is yours. Why would you think I'd ever betray you?" But her words only made him angrier. His jealousy had already taken over. He started throwing things, the baby clothes, the pillow, her bag. Maya tried to calm him down, but he pushed past her. "Get out, Maya," he yelled. "I don't want to see your face again." "Derek, please," she cried. "It's raining. I'm 7 months pregnant. Please don't do this." But Derek's rage blinded him. He dragged her toward the door. "You disgust me. Take your lies and get out of my house," she begged, holding her stomach protectively. "Derek, please listen. I haven't done anything wrong." He opened the door, the rain pouring outside. He threw her bag at her feet. "That baby isn't mine, Maya. I'm done pretending." And with that, he slammed the door. Maya stood there in the rain, trembling, her heart breaking into pieces. She picked up her bag and slowly walked away. Her tears mixed with the rain as she whispered, "You'll see the truth one day." That night, she called her mother, Ava, who rushed to pick her up. When Ava saw her daughter, soaked, shaking, and heartbroken, her eyes filled with anger and pain, she wrapped her in a blanket and said, "You're coming home with me, Maya. You and my grandchild will be safe." The next few days were hard. Maya barely ate. She kept hoping Derek would call, that he'd realize his mistake. Ava tried to convince her to file a restraining order. "He's dangerous now, Maya. You can't go back there," she said firmly. But Maya shook her head. "He's just angry. He'll calm down when the baby comes. He loves me, he has to." A month passed. There was no call, no message. Just silence. Then one morning, Ava handed her a letter that had arrived in the mail. "It's from Derek's lawyer," Ava said softly. Maya's hands trembled as she opened it. Her eyes scanned the words, and then she froze. Derek was demanding a DNA test before he would acknowledge or support the child. Maya dropped the letter to the floor. Her breath came out in broken sobs. "After everything, after all I went through." Ava held her as she cried. "Let him have his test," she whispered. "You have nothing to prove, but let the truth speak for you." Maya nodded weakly, tears streaming down her face. "I'll do it," she said softly. "I'll show him the truth, even if it breaks me." Maya gave birth to a baby boy on a quiet, rainy night. The nurses placed the tiny child in her arms, and for a moment, all her pain disappeared. She named him Eli, a name that meant "my God." His soft cries filled the hospital room, and tears rolled down her cheeks, a mix of love and heartbreak. Derek never came. She waited, hoping maybe he'd change his mind, that he'd walk in and see his son. But he didn't. The nurses kept asking for the father's details, and Maya finally whispered, "Just write Maya Adewale." She gave her son her own last name. It was the first time she'd done something without Derek's control. The days in the hospital were long and quiet. Ava stayed by her side, caring for her and baby Eli. But one night, when Ava stepped out to get food, someone knocked softly on the door. It was Jordan. He looked tired, standing in the doorway holding a bag. "I didn't want to cause trouble," he said quietly. "I just came to bring a few things for the baby." He placed the bag near the bed: diapers, baby clothes, a small blue blanket. Maya's heart softened. "Thank you," she said in a low voice. Jordan nodded and smiled gently. "He's beautiful, Maya. I'm sorry for everything." Maya didn't know what to say. The silence between them held both kindness and sadness. He stayed for a short while, then left quietly before anyone saw him. Over the next few weeks, Maya focused on Eli. He became her strength. When he smiled, she felt a piece of herself healing. But the pain of Derek's absence still lingered. Then one morning, Ava came into the room with a sad face. "Maya," she said softly, "Derek's mother passed away last night." Maya froze. Even though her mother-in-law had been distant, she had always treated her kindly at the start of her marriage. Maya decided to attend the funeral, not for Derek, but to pay her respects. The day of the funeral was heavy with grief and tension. Derek was there, standing beside the coffin, his eyes cold when he saw her. People whispered as Maya walked in, holding Eli in her arms. Some looked at her with pity, others with judgment. When the ceremony ended, Derek approached her. His words cut deep. "Why are you here, Maya? Looking for attention? Or trying to make people think I abandoned you?" Maya's face turned pale. "I came to pay my respects," she said quietly. Derek laughed bitterly. "Respect? You trapped me, Maya. You and your lies destroyed my life. Don't act like a saint now." The crowd went silent. Everyone stared. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to break down. She held Eli tighter and walked away without saying another word. That night, she cried in her mother's arms. "He humiliated me in front of everyone," she whispered. "But I'm done hiding. I'll take the DNA test. I'll prove the truth." Ava nodded proudly. "That's my girl. Let the truth speak for you." The next week, Maya went to the hospital with Eli. Jordan came too, quietly supporting her from a distance. The nurse collected samples from both Maya and Eli, while Derek refused to even look at them. As they waited for the results, Maya felt old wounds reopening. Every insult, every moment of control, every tear, it all came rushing back. The nights when she felt alone in her marriage, the way he made her feel small. She began to see it clearly now. Even after giving birth, Derek's cruelty didn't stop. He spread rumors at work that she had cheated. Her colleagues began to whisper. Her boss, trying to protect the company's image, placed her on leave. Maya felt defeated. Bills piled up, and her reputation was ruined. But every time she looked at Eli's innocent face, she reminded herself that she had something worth fighting for. Ava suggested she see a therapist, and though Maya was hesitant at first, she agreed. The sessions were painful but healing. She started to understand the pattern of abuse she had lived through. How Derek's love had turned into control. How his words had broken her confidence piece by piece. Her therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Lawson, told her, "You survived something that could have destroyed you. You are not weak, Maya. You are brave for choosing peace." Those words stayed with her. Maya began to rebuild slowly. She joined an online support group for single mothers and found comfort in hearing other women's stories. Jordan sometimes stopped by with groceries or toys for Eli. He never pushed, never overstepped. He just helped quietly, like a steady friend who expected nothing in return. One evening, Maya stood by the window, holding Eli as the sunset painted the sky orange. For the first time in a long while, she felt calm. She whispered to her son, "We'll be okay, Eli. No matter what happens, we'll be okay." But deep down, she knew one more storm was coming. The day the DNA results arrived. And that day would change everything. Derek stormed into the hospital parking lot, clutching a stack of papers in his shaking hands. His face was pale, his eyes wild. He looked like a man who had seen a ghost. Maya was standing by her car, holding baby Eli in her arms. When she saw him coming, her heart began to race. For a moment, she thought he was there to shout again, to call her names, to continue the cycle of pain. He stopped a few steps away from her, breathing heavily. Rain had started to fall, just like that terrible night months ago. "Maya," he whispered, but his voice broke. She straightened her back, holding Eli close. "What do you want now, Derek?" she asked quietly. "Haven't you done enough?" He didn't answer. Instead, he stumbled forward, clutching the papers tighter. His lips trembled as he said, "That the DNA test, it's wrong. It has to be wrong." Maya frowned. "What do you mean?" Derek opened the envelope with trembling hands and pulled out the report. "It says I'm not the father," he said, his voice shaking. "But it also says Jordan isn't either." For a second, everything went silent. Maya's eyes widened. "What? That doesn't make sense." Derek took another step toward her, but before he could speak again, his knees gave out. He fell to the ground, the papers scattering across the wet pavement. Maya gasped, quickly handing Eli to Ava, who had been waiting nearby, and rushed to him. "Derek, what's happening?" she shouted, kneeling beside him. His face was pale, his eyes distant. A nurse who had seen the scene ran over and helped get him inside. Within minutes, Derek was lying in a hospital bed, the DNA papers resting on the table beside him. Dr. Lawson, the same doctor who had delivered Eli, entered the room with a serious expression. "I think we need to talk," she said softly. Maya and Derek both looked at her, confused. Dr. Lawson sat down and sighed. "Derek, years ago, before you married Maya, you came to this hospital for a fertility treatment. You remember that, don't you?" Derek's eyes widened. "How do you?" "I handled your case," Dr. Lawson continued calmly. "You were treated after your car accident left you sterile. You insisted that everything be kept private. You even used your brother Jordan's name during the procedure, to protect your identity." Maya blinked, trying to understand. "What are you saying, doctor?" Dr. Lawson looked at her kindly. "Maya, your baby is Derek's biological child. The treatment worked, but because Derek used his brother's name in the hospital records, the DNA system matched Eli's results with Jordan's information, not Derek's." Maya froze. Her heart felt like it had stopped. She turned slowly toward Derek, who was now staring at the floor, his face full of guilt and shame. "So, the baby is yours?" she whispered. Derek nodded weakly. "Yes," he said, voice breaking. "It was always mine. I didn't want anyone to know I had been sterile. I thought it made me weak. I used Jordan's name so no one would find out." Tears filled Maya's eyes. "You accused me. You threw me out in the rain. You made me suffer, all while knowing there was something you hadn't told me." He looked at her helplessly. "I didn't think the treatment worked. When you got pregnant, I panicked. I thought you had cheated on me. I didn't even remember the details of what I'd done back then. Stop," she said softly, her voice trembling. "You dragged me out of our house pregnant, screaming that I'd betrayed you, when all along, I was carrying your own child." The room was silent except for the sound of rain against the window. Derek covered his face with his hands and began to sob quietly. "I destroyed everything," he whispered. "I destroyed my family because of my own lies." Maya stood still for a long moment, staring at him. The man she had once loved looked so small now, broken by his own choices. Dr. Lawson handed her a copy of the corrected report. "You don't have to forgive him," she said gently. "But now you both know the truth." Maya took the papers, her hands shaking. She looked down at Eli, who was sleeping peacefully in Ava's arms just outside the room. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm but heavy with pain. "You didn't just doubt me, Derek. You doubted our love, our child, and yourself. I can't undo what you did. But now at least I know it was never my fault." Derek reached for her hand, but she stepped back. "Please, Maya. I'm sorry. I'll do anything to make it right." She shook her head. "You can't fix what you broke, Derek. Some things can't be repaired." As she turned to leave, she looked at him one last time and said softly, "You wanted the truth. Now you have it." She walked out of the hospital room with her mother and baby, leaving Derek sitting alone, staring at the truth that had destroyed everything he once had. Derek tried to apologize, but Maya refused to let him near her or Eli. He showed up at Ava's house one afternoon, eyes red and tired. "Maya, please," he said, his voice shaking. "I made a terrible mistake. I didn't trust you, and I ruined everything. Please give me another chance." Maya stood in the doorway, holding her son close. "You had your chance, Derek," she said quietly. "You chose anger over love. You chose pride over truth. I can't let you hurt me or my child again." He tried to reach out, but she stepped back. "Don't come here again," she said firmly. "If you want to see Eli, talk to my lawyer." Then she closed the door. That moment was painful, but it was also freeing. For the first time, Maya felt in control of her own life. With Ava's help, she started rebuilding slowly. Her therapy sessions continued, and she began to feel lighter each week. Dr. Lawson often reminded her, healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to live again. Maya found strength in her routine, waking up early, feeding Eli, and taking morning walks in the park. Every laugh, every tiny smile from her baby reminded her that life was still beautiful. Her friends from work reached out again, apologizing for believing the rumors. One of them connected her to a new marketing firm that valued her skills and offered her a fresh start. She accepted. On her first day, she wore a soft blue dress and told herself, "This time, I'm doing it for me." Jordan remained in touch, helping her through legal matters. He guided her in setting boundaries, filing for full custody, protecting herself from Derek's unpredictable behavior, and making sure Eli's future was secure. He never crossed any lines, never made her uncomfortable. Instead, he became someone she could trust, calm, steady, and patient. They would talk sometimes about small things, Eli's first laugh, Maya's new job, the therapy sessions. Their bond grew quietly, built on understanding and respect, not need or pity. Meanwhile, Derek's life began to fall apart. The truth about his outburst and the DNA scandal spread through his company. He lost his job, and people who once respected him now avoided him. His pride, the thing he had clung to so tightly, became his downfall. When Maya heard about it, she didn't celebrate. She simply sighed and said softly, "We all face the results of our choices." Months passed, and things began to change. Maya saved enough money to buy a small apartment, a cozy 2-bedroom place filled with light. She painted the walls herself, soft cream and pale yellow. Ava helped her decorate it with flowers and family photos. Jordan installed baby shelves and fixed the curtain rods. Eli's laughter filled every corner. One evening, Maya sat on the couch, watching the sunset from her window, while Eli slept beside her. She whispered softly, "We made it, baby. We really made it." As she thought back on everything, the rain, the humiliation, the loneliness, she no longer felt bitterness. She felt strength. Every tear had shaped her into someone wiser, calmer, stronger. She smiled and said quietly to herself, "Pain doesn't define you. How you rise from it does." Her life wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful. And for Maya, that peace was worth more than anything she had lost a year later. Maya and Eli attended a church dedication in their new community. The church was bright and filled with music. People laughed, children ran around, and Maya felt a sense of calm she hadn't felt in a long time. She wore a simple white dress, holding little Eli in her arms. He was now walking and talking in short words, his smile lighting up her world. She walked through the churchyard. She suddenly noticed someone standing quietly near the gate. It was Derek. His clothes looked worn, his eyes tired. He stood there watching her. Not with anger this time, but with regret. Their eyes met for a moment. The memories rushed back, the pain, the shouting, the tears. But Maya didn't feel small anymore. She didn't feel afraid. She only felt peace. Derek looked down, unable to speak. He seemed to want to say something, but no words came. Maya adjusted Eli on her hip and took a deep breath. Then softly she said, "You got your truth. I got my freedom." She gave him one last calm look, not of hate, but of final goodbye, and walked past him. As she stepped into the sunlight, the church bells rang. Eli giggled, pointing at the sky. Maya smiled and whispered to her son, "We're free now, baby. We're finally free." The warm sunlight touched her face as she walked into the church surrounded by laughter, hope, and new beginnings. Derek stayed where he was, watching her disappear into the crowd, realizing too late that the woman he had broken had learned to rise stronger than ever. And for the first time in a long while, Maya felt no pain, only peace, strength, and the soft beating of her son's heart against hers. That hi besties. 2 hearts. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you felt Maya's strength and courage, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional stories. See you in the next one. Sparkling heart waving hand.